Happy Monday, Boalia Desmond here. Thank you for tuning in. So I hope you started out your week strong and powerful, and that you had an incredible start to the week. Declaring that you're going to have a good day today, that you're going to have a great week, and that you're going to get some things done. So I titled my message today, Best Advice, right? Best advice. And this was actually triggered by our John Maxwell call today. And he talked about, he's doing a series where he interviews people, great leaders, great thought leaders, about the best advice that they have received and how that has served them, So I want you to think in terms of your own life, right? In the times that you have been given advice. We've been going to a lot of graduation parties, and there's been boxes at some of them that say, give advice to the graduate. What advice would you give to the graduate? And I've seen these also at weddings where, they ask you to give advice to the couple. I urge you, anytime that you see a box that says, please give some advice, please take advantage of those, because the words that you write down may be the very words that may save someone someday. You just never know. You just never know. And John Maxwell talks about, sometimes great advice, what may be great advice to you or the best advice to you might just be great advice to me. But it might be the best advice that you have ever received, right? So don't be afraid to give advice, especially when somebody asks you for it. It means that they value you, number one, right? They understand that you have something to tell them that is truthful, or something that can help them, something that can add value to them. For us, I think back to my friend Lene when she had older kids and my kids were still young. Hers were like high school age, almost graduating from high school. And I remember her saying, Baya, there's going to be so many times when your kids will disrespect you, they'll make you cry, they'll say things that are just beyond unbelievable, especially when you think back to how much we do for our kids, and how much we give our heart and soul to help them, to raise them right, to do the things for them. And she says, just be prepared. There will be a time when they will hurt you. It's the hardest thing. It's the greatest thing to raise kids, but it's also the hardest thing. And just that advice has always stuck with me, especially in times when we've had trying times with our kids. It is so critical to have somebody else's advice that you can look back and say, now I know, now I see. Because that advice it gives you the opportunity to know that you're going to make it. Right? You just know you're going to make it. If they made it, you're going to make it. And then another piece of advice that I always remember is my friend Jody. We were talking one day, and she was saying, because she has a son as well, and she said, by at the age of like 16, I'm not even kidding, I think they lose their minds. I think their mind just goes, because they just make decisions that are just kind of out there. And having that kind of advice just lets you know that, what, oh yeah, this is what she was talking about, this is what she meant. And it just makes it seem like, what, you're not on this island by yourself, that somebody else has gone through it. Another piece of advice that we received, this was more from my husband Tim, was our friend Doug, when he was dealing with their son Seth. And Seth had been giving his dad a hard time. It wasn't even like they had a falling out or anything, but they had a strained relationship, and it was more like where they had differences, but the son just seemed a little bit more distant to him, and just kind of, they just were not like gelling. There was just something that was going on. But just knowing that, because he said, we never had an argument. It wasn't like anything happened that we had a falling out. It just was straight. But that was a phase that the son was even going through, and it reflected in the relationship. So when you're going through it, you can remember. You can take yourself to the remembering room. You can feel normal, and it can help you through it. It can take you back to reaching out to that person that gave you the advice and saying, hey, how long did it take? Or just having them help you through it. So in your own life, what is the best advice that you have received so far? And have people come to you for advice. And if you have been one of the people who has been, just passing by those boxes at graduation parties or passing them up at weddings and thinking, oh, I don't know what to say, I don't have anything to say, and everybody says the same thing. No, take the time to add value to these people and giving them your best advice, because that might be the greatest advice that they receive, and it may just save someone. So I thank you for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.